So continuing, you can sell a Beit Knesset forever, just there are conditions on what you can use it for, four things. You can't use it for four things. Man, says Rabbi Yehuda, and Shmuel, man can pray within can urinate within the Dalad Amot that you just prayed in, after finishing praying. Rav Yosef doesn't really get why this is the Chidush. Amar Rav Yosef, my ka mashmana, what are you trying to teach me? Is it not obvious? Have we not already learnt? Tanina, Rav Yehuda, Omer, Mochrin ota l'shum chatzev lokech ma shirtzeh yaseh. Have we not learned in the Mishnah, in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, that you can sell a Beit Knesset for the use of a courtyard, and the buyer can use it for whatever he wants? Then he continues with the attack. Va'afilu Rabbanan, even the rabbis who disagreed and said you can't do that, lo ka'amri ela beveit knesset d'kvir kedushate. They said you can only do this with regards to a Beit Knesset where its kedusha is kavua, where it's permanent. Aval bar bamot de lo kvir kedushate lo. But in the Arba Amot that you just stop and davening on the way, then they wouldn't say that, because the kedusha isn't permanent and you can urinate in that area. So what's the chidush of what Rav Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel? Tani Tana Kamed Rav Nachman. A brayta was taught in front of Rav Nachman, Hamit Palel Machik Abamot Umashtin. Someone who prays and then he wants to urinate, leaves, he distances himself 4 amot from where he davened, and then he urinates. Ve Hamashtin, someone urinated and wants to pray. Machik Abamot moves 4 amot away from where he urinated. Umit Palel. Amalei. Rav Nachman said to the one who taught the brayta, Bishleima Mashtin Machik Abamot. It makes sense that someone urinates and needs to move away Dalad Amot, and then he prays. Tanina, that's already taught in the Mishnah. In Brachot, Kama Echik Mehem, how far should he distance himself? Umina Soa, and from the feces. Arba Amot, 4 amot. Ela Hamit Palel Machik Arba Amot Umashtin Lamali. But I don't get why someone who prays and then once urinate needs to distance himself from where he prayed. If that would be true, then all the roads of Nardea, all the paths of Nardea are now holy. You can't daven there because someone is once urinated, and you always have to move Dalad Amot away from the urine. You have to move Dalad Amot away from where you prayed, and seeing as people prayed all over the place, there's nowhere left to pray, nowhere left to urinate. And therefore there must be, says Rav Nachman, no holiness remains after davening stam in a random place. Tane Yisheh, the brayta meant that you wait the amount of time of Dalad Amot, to walk Dalad Amot before you urinate in the same place you davened. Bishleima mashni shek deiluch abamot mishum nitzotzot. It makes sense that the one who urinates should wait the time it takes to walk Dalad Amot, and then you should daven. Why? Mishum nitzotzot, because of the spraying of urine when you urinate, so his clothes won't get dirty. Ela mitpalel yishek deiluch 400. But the one who is davening, he should wait. Sorry, it makes sense which way round, that you should wait. If you urinate first, you should wait the time it takes to walk Dalad Amot, because you might get sprayed by urine and then you don't urinate on your clothes. But the other way around, if you're davening, but if you are praying, why should you have to wait the amount of time after it takes to walk Dalad Amot? There's no need to. Commands Amar of Ashi, Why? Because when you pray, the words of prayer are still in your mouth. So you should give a space in between finishing tefillah and urinating of walking, the space of time that it takes to walk, which is 1-2 seconds, because when you finish prayer, you're still thinking and your lips are still moving about tefillah, and you shouldn't urinate whilst you are praying. Therefore, that's the reason to wait. Okay? We're now going to start talking about rabbis who lived a long time for different reasons. Okay, Zalfan Siman. We're now going to learn Zalfan Siman. Different people lived for a long time for different reasons. Okay. And Zalfan stands for Rabbi Zakkai. Zayin was the Zakkai. Rabbi Eliezer ben Shemua, the Lamed ve'Eliezer. Rabbi Preda, the pay for Zalf. And then Rabbi Nechunia ben Kaneh, which is the Nun. Okay, so now different Talmidim are going to ask their rabbis why they lived a long time. Shalu Talmidav et Rabbi Zakkai, b'meh herachta yamim. Why do you live such a long time? Amalem mi'amai lo ishtanti mayim b'toch 400 shel tefillah. I was very makpid about not urinating within the Daled Amot of where I prayed, even though it was completely allowed. Lo kiniti Shem lechavera. I never gave a nickname or a bad name to someone. Lo bitalti kiddush hayom. I always did kiddush hayom, the daytime kiddush, on wine. Even though you can b'diavad, if you don't have wine, you can do it on pat. I always did it on wine. And it once happened, Ima zkena haytali. I had a very old mother. Pamachat umacha kippah shborsha v'yavili. She once sold a piece of her clothing, her tzeif, she had some kind of scarf around her head, and gave it to me. Lekiddush hayom. She gave it to me. She sold it for me, so I'd have money to buy kiddush hayom. V'tana kshemeta, and we learn in Braita the reward she got when she passed away. Hinicha lo 300 garbe yain kshemetu hiniach levanav 3,000 garbe yain. Because she was so stringent to make sure her son himself had wine, when she passed away, she left for her son 300 barrels of wine, and when he died, Rabbi Zakkai, he left 3,000 barrels of wine. Rav Huna hava asarita. Rav Huna was tying his loins with some kind of gumi, some kind of reed. V'kai kamei de Rav, and he was standing before Rav. Amalei mai. Why don't you use a normal belt to tie your loins together? Amalei lo havali lekidusha. I don't have enough money for kiddush. Umishkante lehemyanai. I deposited my belt, my avnet, as a security to take a loan. Va'atai bei kiddusha, and I bought with that wine for kiddush. Amalei, Rav said to him, Ye Rava detitum b'shirai. He davened that it may be the will of God that you will one day wear clothes of meshi, of silk. And the bracha of Rav to Rav Huna happened. Because ki ikalel Rabba Brei, when he married off his son, Rav Huna's son Rabba, Rav Huna inish gutza hava. Rav Huna was a short man. Gana apuya, when he slept on his bed at the same time. Atyan benate v'chalate, his daughter and his bride came into the room, and they didn't notice because he was so short. V'shalchan v'shadyan menayhu alei. They took off their silk clothes and threw it on him. Aditun b'siri, until he was completely covered in silk. V'shama Rav vikpad. Rav heard about this and was makpid was stringent, was bothered by Rav Huna. Armai tama lo amarta li ki birchaticha v'chein lamar. He said to Rav Huna, Rav said, why didn't you ever tell me that my blessing? I mean, he heard rumors that what happened, that the bride and his daughter had thrown the meshi on the bed. They hadn't noticed Rav Huna because he was so short and he was lying on the bed. At the wedding, they threw the clothes on top of him. He's covered in clothes, and he's annoyed that he's never told that his bracha actually was fulfilled. And he's makbid. He's bothered by it. Why is he bothered? The Gemara explains, I would have been blessed myself through knowing that the bracha had been kept. And I would make a bracha for myself as well, and I would myself become wealthy. Now we're going on to another person who lived a long time. Shalu Tamidav Shel Rabbi Elazar ben Shamoa b'me'arach ta'amim. They asked Rabbi Elazar ben Shamoa, how come you lived so long? Amalem mi'amai lo asiti kapandaria leveit hakneset. I never used. Why did I live a long time? Because I never used the Beit Knesset for a shortcut. V'lo pasati aro shei am kadosh. I never also would walk in after Talmidim had already sat down for shir. Because then I'd have to make wider steps to get in between the crowds, and it looks like I am haughty, and I'm stepping on them. I never did bikakonim without making a bracha beforehand. Right, the bracha of Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaMashiach Tisham Yisrael V'Tzivanu Levarech et Amo Yisrael Be'ava. Even though it was a chovah, and they should have been doing it, Rabbi Elazar ben Shamoa is saying that is a skula for living a long time. A kohen who makes a bracha beforehand, which he should do anyway, that is a skula for living a long time. Shalu Tamidav et Rabbi Preida. They asked Rabbi Preida, how come you lived so long? I was always the first guy into the Beit Midrash in the morning. I never made a bracha in front of a kohen. In a Suda, Rashi explains. One second. So Rashi explains, "V'lo berachti b'suda lefnei kohen, da'amama v'kidashto l'chol davar sheb'kedusha liftoach rishon u'levarech rishon." So you should always let the kohen start, and that is what he enabled him to do, and he ever didn't do that, and therefore because he respected the kohanim, he lived a long life. Lo achati mibeima shelo humu matnonotea. I never ate from an animal which the gifts of the kohen were given first to a kohen. Damar Rabbi Yitzchak, Rabbi Yochanan asur lechol mibeima shelo humu matnonotea. Rabbi Yitzchak said, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, it is us to eat from an animal which the gifts were not given to a kohen. Okay. V'amar Rabbi Yitzchak, kol ha'ocher mibeima shelo humu matnonotea. Anyone who eats from an animal which the gifts were not given first to the kohen, that certain parts were given to the kohen. Kilo ochel tfalim is as if he's eating tevel. Tevel is the vegetables and fruits, which the percentage is 2% is supposed to be given to the kohen, and if you eat it before it's been given, it's called tevel. And the halacha is not like that. You can eat it today, and we don't hold by that. But even so, Rabbi Preida was machmir with himself, was stringent with himself not to eat it. We're now going to, I think, stop here. Yeah.